6 months have passed since Dipper and Mabel Pines left Gravity Falls after the events of Weirdmageddon. Life in California had returned to normal, or as normal as it could be for two kids who had witnessed interdimensional chaos and battled dream demons. Dipper spent his evenings writing in his new journal, Journal Number 4, documenting every detail he could remember about their summer adventures. Meanwhile, Mabel knitted sweaters with pine tree patterns, each stitch carrying memories of their magical summer. But their peaceful routine was interrupted by an urgent phone call from Seuss. Strange things were happening in Gravity Falls again. Trees in the forest were glowing with an eerie light. McGucket's inventions were turning on by themselves, and even Gideon, now reformed, could sense a powerful energy building in the town. After hearing about the escalating anomalies and learning that Stan and Ford had mysteriously disappeared during their ocean voyage, their parents made an unprecedented decision. For the first time, they agreed to let the twins return to Gravity Falls during winter break. The bus ride back felt different this time. Snow covered the familiar landscape, and both twins seemed more mature, more prepared for whatever mysteries awaited them. When they arrived at the Mystery Shack, they found it glowing with the same strange energy affecting the rest of the town. Seuss welcomed them with worried hugs, and Wendy quickly explained the situation. The anomalies were concentrating around one specific location, the exact spot where Bill Cipher's statue had once stood in the forest. Gideon burst through the door, panic in his eyes, confirming their worst fears. Something was definitely stirring at that cursed location. The team quickly prepared for an expedition, Dipper with his journal, Mabel with her bag of gadgets, Seuss with his trusty flashlight, Wendy with her hatchet, and Gideon with a glowing crystal that seemed to react to the mysterious energy. As they ventured into the snowy forest, the air grew warmer with each step toward their destination. Soon, they could see a soft golden light glowing through the pine trees ahead. Not the menacing red of Bill's power, but something entirely different. "Whatever's waiting for us out there," Dipper said, gripping his journal tightly. "We're ready for it. Gravity Falls is calling us to a new adventure, and this time, we're not running away." The team moved forward together, united and determined, ready to uncover the next chapter in Gravity Falls' endless book of mysteries. 2 weeks have passed since Dipper and Mabel discovered the mysterious golden energy at Bill Cipher's former statue site. The twins have been monitoring the phenomenon daily, documenting its patterns in Journal Number 4. Unlike the chaotic red energy of Bill's previous manifestations, this golden light seems peaceful, almost welcoming. The townspeople have begun to change. Those who venture near the forest clearing report feeling unusually optimistic and creative. McGucket's inventions work better than ever. Lazy Susan's cooking has improved dramatically, and even the normally grumpy townspeople seem friendlier. Everyone agrees that whatever this golden energy is, it's making Gravity Falls a better place. But Dipper isn't convinced. Something about the energy feels too perfect, too convenient. When he voices his concerns to Mabel, she dismisses them as paranoia. "Dipper, for once, can't we just accept that something good is happening?" she says, her eyes reflecting an unusual golden gleam. The first Rayall warning comes from Gideon, who arrives at the Mystery Shack in a panic. His mystical abilities have been going haywire, showing him fragmented visions of a familiar triangular silhouette lurking within the golden light. "It's him," Gideon whispers, trembling. "Bill's still here, but he's different. Smarter." Dipper realizes with growing horror that the golden energy isn't healing Gravity Falls. It's Bill Cipher's most sophisticated trap yet. The dream demon learned from his previous defeat. Instead of announcing his presence with chaos and terror, he's using the appearance of benevolence to slowly influence the town's inhabitants, making them willing participants in his return. The evidence becomes undeniable when Dipper notices that everyone affected by the golden energy has developed the same subtle mannerisms. A particular way of tilting their head, a specific laugh, and most disturbing of all, they all occasionally speak in unison without realizing it. Bill isn't just trying to return. He's creating a hive mind, turning the entire population into extensions of himself. When Dipper tries to warn Seuss and Wendy, he discovers they're already too far gone. Their personalities remain intact on the surface, but underneath, something else is pulling the strings. They smile too widely when they tell him everything is fine, and their eyes flash gold when they think he isn't looking. Even Mabel is beginning to succumb. She started incorporating impossible geometric patterns into her knitting, and she hums melodies that sound suspiciously like the backwards messages Bill used to hide in his communications. When Dipper confronts her about it, she laughs it off, but for just a moment. Her voice carries an echo that makes his blood run cold. Desperate and running out of allies, Dipper retreats to the Mystery Shack's basement with journal number 4. As he flips through its pages, searching for any information about Bill's methods, he notices something terrifying. The journal's entries about their previous encounters with Bill are slowly changing, rewriting themselves to paint the dream demon in a more positive light. The answer comes to him in a flash of insight. During Weirdmageddon, when Bill possessed him, Ford and Stan's memory gun created a unique neural pattern in his brain, a kind of psychic scar that makes him resistant to Bill's influence. But that resistance won't last forever, and he's completely alone. As the golden light outside grows brighter and more townspeople gather around the forest clearing like moths to a flame, Dipper makes a desperate decision. He needs help from the only people who have ever successfully defeated Bill Cipher before, his great-uncle Stanford and Stanley Pines. The episode reaches its climax as Dipper watches from the Mystery Shack's window. The entire town has gathered in the forest clearing, standing in perfect geometric formations around the golden light. They begin to chant in unison, their voices harmonizing in a way that's both beautiful and deeply wrong. "We welcome you back," they say as one. "We are ready to serve." The golden light pulses, and for just a moment, Dipper sees it, a familiar triangular shadow at the heart of the radiance, growing larger and more solid with each passing second. Bill Cipher is almost ready to return, and when he does, he'll have an entire town of willing servants at his command. "I'm sorry, Mabel," he whispers, looking at his sister's sleeping form. The golden gleam in her eyes is stronger now, and he knows he's running out of time. "I'll save you. I'll save everyone. But first, I need to find Grunkle Stan and Great Uncle Ford." As Dipper slips out into the night, avoiding the golden-eyed townspeople who patrol the streets, he doesn't notice the journal in his backpack beginning to glow with the same ominous light. Bill's influence is spreading, and even Dipper's resistance may not be enough to stop what's coming. 3 days have passed since Dipper escaped Gravity Falls. Using every resource he could find, stolen boats, hitchhiked rides, and his own determination, he's finally tracked down the Stan of War II somewhere in the frigid waters off the Alaskan coast. The research vessel appears through the morning fog like a beacon of hope. Dipper's voice is hoarse from exhaustion as he calls out across the water. "Grunkle Stan, Great Uncle Ford, it's me, Dipper." The twins emerge from the ship's cabin, initially delighted to see their great-nephew, but their joy quickly turns to alarm when they see his desperate condition. "Kid, what are you doing out here?" Stan demands, pulling Dipper aboard. "You're supposed to be safe at home with Mabel." Ford immediately notices the terror in Dipper's eyes and the way his hands shake as he clutches journal number 4, which still glows faintly with that ominous golden light. Between gasping breaths, Dipper explains everything. Bill Cipher's return through deception rather than chaos. The golden energy that seemed benevolent but was actually a trap. How the entire town, including Mabel, has fallen under Bill's influence, their minds slowly being absorbed into a collective consciousness controlled by the dream demon. Ford's face grows pale as he examines journal number 4. "The entries are rewriting themselves," he whispers, watching the text shift and change on the pages. Bill's influence is spreading even through the journal's connection to the other volumes. "This is worse than I feared." Stan, trying to process the magnitude of the situation, asks the question they're all thinking. "So what you're telling us is that Bill has basically turned our entire town into his personal army, and we're the only ones who can stop him?" "Not just our town," Dipper replies grimly. "If Bill succeeds in Gravity Falls, he'll have a template for how to take over anywhere. He's learned from Weirdmageddon. Instead of announcing his presence and giving people a chance to fight back, he's making them want to serve him." The journey back to Gravity Falls takes 2 days of non-stop travel. Ford works frantically to shield their minds from Bill's influence using a combination of metal plates and mystical symbols, while Stan pushes their boat's engine to its absolute limit. As they approach the Oregon coast, they can see the golden aurora dancing across the sky above their hometown, beautiful and terrifying. Gravity Falls looks peaceful from a distance, but as they get closer, the wrongness becomes apparent. The townspeople move in perfect synchronization, their daily routines carried out with mechanical precision. Children play games in exact formation. Adults work with eerie efficiency. Everyone's eyes hold that same golden gleam. It's like they're all sleepwalking, Stan mutters, watching through binoculars as the townspeople go about their business. But they look happy. That's what makes it so insidious, Ford explains. Bill isn't torturing them. He's giving them what they think they want: purpose, belonging, freedom from doubt and conflict. They don't even realize they've lost their free will. They dock at a secluded spot and make their way carefully through the forest, avoiding the main roads where golden-eyed patrols walk in perfect formation. The mystery shack stands empty, its windows dark. Mabel's knitting supplies are scattered across the floor, abandoned mid-project when she joined the collective. "We need to get to my bunker," Ford whispers as they observe the town from the treeline. It's the only place that might still be shielded from Bill's influence. If we're going to have any chance of saving everyone, we need to understand exactly how his new method works. The underground bunker feels like stepping into another world. The moment they close the heavy metal door behind them, the oppressive feeling of being watched lifts. Ford's old equipment hums to life, and for the first time in days, they can think clearly without the constant pressure of Bill's presence. Ford immediately begins analyzing samples of the golden energy that Dipper collected, while Stan examines the security monitors showing the town above. "Look at this," Stan says, pointing to a screen. "They're all gathering in the town square, every single person. On the monitors, they watch as the entire population of Gravity Falls assembles in perfect geometric patterns. Men, women, children, even pets, all standing in formation, their faces turned upward toward the golden light that pulses stronger with each passing hour. He's preparing for something, Ford realizes, his instruments detecting massive energy fluctuations. The collective consciousness isn't the end goal, it's the means. Bill is using their combined mental energy to power something much larger. Dipper studies the readings, his experience with the journals helping him understand Ford's equipment. What if we could reverse the process? Instead of Bill drawing energy from their minds, what if we could use that same connection to restore their memories? Ford's eyes light up with possibility. The memory gun. If we could modify it to work in reverse, broadcasting memories instead of erasing them. He trails off, already calculating the technical requirements. But whose memories would we broadcast? Stan asks. And how do we make sure Bill doesn't just block them out? The answer comes to Dipper in a flash of inspiration. Not just any memories, the memories of Bill's defeat. Everyone in town was there during Weirdmageddon. They all remember what he really is, what he's capable of. If we can remind them of that moment when Stan erased his own mind to trap Bill, the trauma of that experience might be strong enough to break through Bill's influence. Ford finishes, understanding immediately. But we'd need to get close enough to the town square to broadcast the signal, and we'd need a massive power source. Stan grins, the same reckless smile that got them into so much trouble as children. Good thing we've got a nuclear-powered submarine and two of the smartest guys I know. As they begin planning their desperate gambit, the golden light outside grows brighter. Time is running out, and they all know that if they fail, Bill Cipher won't just control Gravity Falls, he'll have the blueprint to control the world. Tomorrow night, Ford says, making final calculations. During the next convergence, when Bill's power is at its peak but also most unstable, we'll have one chance to break his hold on everyone. Dipper looks at his great-uncles, these two old men who've already sacrificed so much to protect their family and their town. Are we really going to be able to save them? Save Mabel? Stan puts a weathered hand on Dipper's shoulder. Kid, we've faced the end of the world before. This time, we're not going in blind, and we're not going in alone. We're going to bring our family home. Dawn broke over Gravity Falls as Ford's instruments suddenly went haywire. This isn't just Bill's influence, Ford gasped, staring at the readings. He's using the townspeople as a beacon to contact the Theraprism, the interdimensional prison where he's being held. Dipper's eyes widened. Prison? But how is he controlling everyone if he's locked up? Ford was already pulling out blueprints. He's projecting his consciousness through the psychic residue from Weirdmageddon. We have minutes before he completes the connection. Stan grabbed Ford's shoulder. What do we do? Ford's hands moved frantically over the blueprints. We use my emergency portal device. It's been ready for years, a targeted gateway that can breach dimensional barriers without causing a rift. The golden light outside pulsed faster, more urgently. He's almost through, Ford shouted, assembling the compact portal device with practiced precision. The machine hummed to life, its crystalline core glowing with interdimensional energy. Wait, Dipper said. We're actually going into an interdimensional prison? Ford nodded grimly. The Theraprism exists outside time and space. It's where cosmic criminals are rehabilitated. Bill's using it as his base of operations. Stan cracked his knuckles. Well, if Triangle Boy wants to play prison warden, let's show him what real wardens look like. The portal device sparked and whirred, reality beginning to bend around its edges. Ford input the final coordinates. The Theraprism's location is here. The portal tore open with a sound like reality itself screaming. Beyond the swirling vortex, they could see a massive structure floating in an endless void, part prison, part hospital, all nightmare. Remember, Ford warned as they approached the portal. In the Theraprism, we'll be surrounded by every interdimensional criminal ever sentenced. Bill won't be our only problem. The golden light from town grew blinding, and they could hear a familiar triangular laugh echoing from the portal. Too late to back out now, Stan muttered. Let's go crash Bill's therapy session. One by one, the Three Pines men stepped through the portal. Dipper went first, his heart pounding as he crossed into the void between dimensions. The moment they emerged on the other side, they found themselves in a sterile white corridor lined with cells. Each cell contained horrors beyond imagination, creatures that had terrorized entire galaxies, now supposedly being rehabilitated. And somewhere in this maze of cosmic justice, Bill Cipher was waiting. Welcome to the Theraprism, came a familiar voice over the intercom system. But it wasn't Bill's voice. It was distorted, multiplied, as if spoken by 1,000 throats at once. I've been expecting you, Pines family, though I must say, you're just in time for my graduation ceremony. Ford's face went pale. Graduation ceremony? The voice laughed, and now they could hear Bill's distinctive cackle mixed in with the others. Oh yes, Stanford, I've been a very good patient, and good patients get to leave. With a few new friends, of course. Alarms began blaring throughout the facility. Red lights flashed as cell doors started opening one by one. You see, Bill's voice continued, I didn't just learn to project my consciousness back to Gravity Falls. I learned to project it into my fellow inmates. And now, we're all going home together. The Three Pines men found themselves face to face with their greatest challenge yet. They had entered the Theraprism to stop Bill Cipher, but instead, they had walked directly into his trap. The interdimensional prison was about to become a launching pad for the greatest jailbreak in cosmic history. As monstrous roars echoed through the corridors and reality itself began to crack around them, Ford whispered, "What have we done?" The portal behind them flickered and died, cutting off their escape route. They were trapped in the Theraprism with Bill Cipher and every cosmic horror he had convinced to join his cause. The fate of not just Gravity Falls, but the entire multiverse, now hung in the balance. And somewhere in the chaos, Bill Cipher's laughter grew louder, more triumphant. The real battle for reality was about to begin. Gravity Falls Season 3, Episode 5, Face to Face with the Triangle. The chaos in the Theraprism corridors was deafening. Cosmic horrors roared as they escaped their cells, and somewhere in the madness, Bill Cipher's laughter echoed like a symphony of malice. Dipper, Stan, and Ford pressed themselves against a wall, watching in horror as the greatest jailbreak in multiverse history unfolded before their eyes. "We need to find Bill," Ford shouted over the cacophony. But as they moved deeper into the facility, following that familiar triangular laugh, they realized they weren't hunting Bill Cipher. He was leading them exactly where he wanted them to go. The corridor suddenly fell silent. They rounded the corner and found themselves in a vast circular room, the heart of the Theraprism. Floating in the center was Bill Cipher himself, no longer confined by any cell. But something was different. He seemed more solid, more real than ever before. Well, if it isn't my favorite family of meddlers. Bill's voice boomed through the chamber with an odd warmth that made their skin crawl. Stanford, Stanley, and Little Dipper, you have no idea how long I've been waiting for this reunion. Ford stepped forward with determination. Bill, whatever you're planning, it ends here. You've manipulated enough people, destroyed enough lives. Bill's eye crinkled with delight. Oh, Fordsy, still so serious. But you're missing the bigger picture. Bill gestured around the chamber. Do you know what this place really is? The Theraprism isn't just a prison. It's a rehabilitation center. And guess what? I've been rehabilitated. I've learned so much about friendship, about family, about cooperation. Stan snorted with disgust. Rehabilitated? You just broke out every cosmic criminal in this place. Bill's laugh was like breaking glass mixed with wind chimes. Oh, Stanley, I didn't break them out. I convinced them to leave. I used my words, my charm, my newly developed people skills. Dipper's voice trembled with anger. You manipulated them just like you manipulated everyone in Gravity Falls. You haven't changed at all. Bill's eye focused on Dipper intensely. Ah, Pine Tree, you're absolutely right. I haven't changed. I've evolved. Bill's form started to glow with golden light. The Theraprism taught me something wonderful. I don't need to destroy reality to remake it. I just need to convince everyone that my way is better. And after spending eons surrounded by the multiverse's greatest criminals, I've learned exactly how to do that. Ford's instruments began beeping frantically. Bill, you're destabilizing the entire facility. Bill's grin widened impossibly. I know. Isn't it exciting? But don't worry. I have a plan for all of us. Bill floated closer, his voice dropping to a conversational tone. Here's what's going to happen. You three are going to help me return to our dimension. Not as enemies, but as family. Because that's what we are, isn't it? We've been through so much together. Stan stepped protectively in front of Dipper. Over my dead body, triangle freak. We stopped you once, we'll stop you again. Bill's eye gleamed with something that might have been genuine sadness. Oh, Stanley, always so confrontational. But I've learned that there are more than two sides to every story. The chamber began to shake as dimensional rifts opened around them. You see, Bill continued, my fellow inmates weren't just criminals. They were visionaries like me. And now they're out there, sharing our message across the multiverse. Ford realized with growing horror what Bill had accomplished. You didn't just escape. You created a network. Every criminal you befriended is now spreading your influence across their home dimensions. Bill applauded. Exactly. I knew you'd figure it out, Stanford. Dipper looked around desperately. There has to be a way to stop this. Bill's voice became almost gentle. There is, Pine Tree. Join me, all of you. Help me create a multiverse where everyone gets what they want. For a moment, they could see it, a reality where the constant struggle was over. But Ford shook his head firmly. No, Bill. We've seen what your help looks like. We'll find another way. Bill's expression shifted, the mock warmth draining from his voice. I was hoping you'd say that, because sometimes the people you care about most are the ones who need the most convincing. The golden light intensified, and suddenly they weren't in the Theraprism anymore. They were back in Gravity Falls, standing in the town square. But something was wrong. The townspeople moved with perfect synchronization, their eyes glowing with golden light. Welcome home, Bill said, his voice coming from every throat in the crowd. Let me show you what a truly rehabilitated Bill Cipher can accomplish. As the possessed townspeople closed in, Ford whispered urgently, remember, this isn't real. Bill's projecting this. We just have to find a way back to reality. But as Bill's laughter filled the air and the golden-eyed crowd pressed closer, that seemed like an impossible task. The confrontation had become something far more terrifying. Not a battle they could win with force, but a psychological war where reality itself was the battlefield. And Bill Cipher was still the master of that particular game. Gravity Falls Season 3, Episode 6, Weirdmageddon, The Return. The projection flickered and shattered completely, revealing the devastating truth. The Theraprism was collapsing around them, but worse than that, Bill was no longer there. The chamber was empty except for the three of them, trapped in a facility tearing itself apart. "He's gone," Dipper breathed. While we were trapped in his projection, he escaped. Ford's instruments screamed warnings as reality unraveled. "Not just escaped," Ford said grimly. "He's returned to our dimension. And this time, he's not alone." Using Ford's remaining equipment, they created a makeshift dimensional rift. But as they stepped through, they weren't prepared for what awaited them. Gravity Falls was exactly as Bill had shown them. But this time, it was real. The town square was filled with their friends and neighbors, all moving with terrifying synchronization. Seuss, Wendy, Sheriff Blubbs, everyone they cared about now bore the golden glow of Bill's influence. This wasn't an illusion. This was Weirdmageddon returned and more complete than ever. "Welcome home, gentlemen." Bill's voice boomed from the sky, where his massive triangular form hovered like a malevolent sun. "I told you I'd learned about cooperation. Look how beautifully everyone's working together now." The possessed townspeople turned as one, their smiles perfectly identical and utterly wrong. Bill descended, more solid and imposing than they had ever seen. "You see, while you were playing detective in my prison cell, I was already here. The Bill you met in the Theraprism? Just a projection, a distraction while I completed my real work." His laughter shook the foundations of reality. Ford stepped forward, voice filled with rage. "You used us. You made us think we were stopping you when we were helping you escape." Bill's eye crinkled with delight. "Oh, Stanford, you always were my favorite student. Yes, I needed someone to break the Theraprism's containment from the inside." Stan and Dipper flanked Ford with grim determination. "So what now, Bill? What's the endgame?" Bill's form shifted, becoming more elaborate and terrifying. "Simple, Stanley. I'm going to remake not just this reality, but every reality. The multiverse will become my playground." Dipper's heart broke as he saw Mabel among the possessed, her eyes glowing with golden light. There has to be a way to save them. Bill's attention focused on Dipper with predatory interest. "Oh, Pine Tree, still so optimistic. But you're right. There is something you can do." Bill gestured, and a swirling portal opened behind him, showing glimpses of his true dimension. "You can come with me, all three of you. Enter my domain willingly, and I'll consider sparing this pathetic little town. Refuse, and watch as I turn everyone you've ever loved into my eternal puppets." The choice was impossible: sacrifice themselves or watch their loved ones suffer forever. But Ford made a decision that surprised them all. "We'll come with you, Bill, but not as your prisoners, as your opponents. If we're going to end this, it has to be in your realm, on your terms." Bill's laughter cracked reality itself. "Excellent. I was hoping you'd choose the hard way. It's so much more entertaining." The portal grew larger, its depths promising horrors beyond imagination. "Welcome to the final game, Pine's family. Let's see if you can save your precious multiverse from the inside out." As they stepped toward the portal, Dipper looked back one last time at the possessed town, at Mabel's golden-eyed stare, at everything they were leaving behind. "We'll come back," he whispered. "We'll save them all." But as Bill's dimension swallowed them whole, that promise seemed as fragile as reality itself. The portal closed with a sound like the universe screaming. Gravity Falls was left in Bill's control, its people trapped in golden-eyed servitude, while the only ones who could stop him had walked willingly into his ultimate trap. Weirdmageddon had returned, and Bill Cipher was truly the king of everything. But in the swirling chaos of Bill's dimension, where nightmares were the only reality, three determined souls prepared for the fight of their lives. Because sometimes the only way to defeat a monster is to face him in his own domain, where the rules are his, but the will to fight is still your own. Bill's dimension was a nightmare of floating rocks and twisted reality. Dipper, Stan, and Ford walked carefully across glowing platforms, searching for any clue about Bill's past. "There has to be something here that can help us stop him," Ford said, checking his instruments. As they explored deeper, they found strange ruins covered in triangle symbols. "These look old," Dipper observed, touching the ancient walls. "Older than Bill himself." The symbols began to glow, showing them a path through the chaotic landscape. Following the glowing trail, they discovered a hidden valley where reality seemed more stable. In the center stood a small village of geometric beings. Triangles, squares, and circles living peacefully together. "Incredible," Ford whispered. "A civilization that survived Bill's chaos." An elderly triangle approached them, his form shimmering with age. "I am Euclidean," he said sadly. "I am Bill Cipher's father." The revelation hit them like a thunderbolt. Stan stepped forward. "His father? Then you know how to stop him." Euclidean led them to his home, where the walls were covered with pictures of a young Bill, smaller, happier, surrounded by family. "He wasn't always evil," Euclidean explained. "He was curious, wanted to see beyond our flat world. But when he gained the power to see other dimensions, it drove him mad. He destroyed our entire dimension," Euclidean continued, tears in his ancient eyes. "I barely escaped with a few survivors. We've been hiding here ever since, hoping someone would come who could help us save him." He pulled out a glowing crystal. "This is the memory stone. It contains all of Bill's original memories before the madness." Dipper examined the crystal. "You mean we can make him remember who he used to be?" Euclidean nodded. "But it requires getting close to him, touching his core with the stone. And he won't make it easy." Ford studied the crystal with scientific interest. "The energy readings are incredible. This could actually work." Suddenly, the ground shook as Bill's laughter echoed through the dimension. Well, a family reunion." Bill materialized above them, massive and terrifying. "Hello, Father. Still trying to fix me, I see." His eye blazed with fury as he spotted the memory stone. "My son," Euclidean said, floating upward. "Please, let us help you remember who you really are." But Bill's rage only intensified. "I remember perfectly. I remember being weak, being limited, being boring. I'm so much more now." He raised his hand to destroy the village. "Wait," Dipper shouted, holding up the memory stone. "If you're so powerful, then you're not afraid of a little crystal, right?" Bill paused, his eye narrowing. "You think that trinket can change me? Fine. Let's see what happens when I destroy it myself." Bill dove toward them, but as he reached for the stone, Dipper made a desperate move. He threw himself forward, pressing the memory stone directly against Bill's eye. There was a blinding flash of light, and suddenly Bill's screams filled the dimension, not of rage, but of remembrance. For a moment, Bill's form flickered, showing glimpses of the young triangle he used to be. I remember," he whispered, his voice small and confused. "I remember home. I remember love." But then his eye blazed again, fighting against the memories. "No, I won't go back to being weak." The memory stone cracked under the strain of Bill's resistance, its power fading. "It's not enough," Euclidean said desperately. "He's too far gone. The madness is too strong." But Dipper wasn't giving up. "Then we'll find another way. We'll keep trying until we save him." Bill's form stabilized, the madness winning over the memories. "How touching," he sneered. "But you're too late. Soon, I'll have consumed every reality, and there will be nothing left to remember." He began to fade away, returning to his conquest of the multiverse. As Bill disappeared, Euclidean handed them a small fragment of the broken memory stone. "Take this," he said. "It still holds some power. Perhaps, when the time is right, it will be enough." The fragment glowed softly in Dipper's hand, a tiny spark of hope in the endless chaos. "We'll stop him," Stan promised the grieving father. "We'll find a way to bring your son back." As they prepared to leave the hidden valley, they carried with them not just a weapon against Bill, but the knowledge that somewhere deep inside the Chaos Demon, a scared little triangle was still waiting to come home. After Euclidean's failure to save his son, Bill Cipher unleashed his full rage upon Earth. Within days, the planet became his nightmare playground. In New York, skyscrapers floated upside down, while the Statue of Liberty became a golden triangle with an all-seeing eye. In London, Big Ben twisted into a pretzel as red buses drove along walls. In Tokyo, buildings formed a pyramid crowned with Bill's eye. From space, Earth's continents resembled Bill's malevolent face, pulsing with chaotic energy. In the interdimensional void, 3 heroes carried humanity's last hope. Dipper clutched the Memory Stone fragment while Stanford led them toward Dimension 52, where he had survived for 30 years. "Ford, can we really save him after everything he's done?" Dipper asked uncertainly. Stanford looked at his nephew with eyes that had witnessed the darkest corners of the multiverse. "Even in the deepest darkness, there's always light. We're going to the only place Bill has never corrupted." "Where's that?" Stan asked gruffly. "Dimension 52, my sanctuary for 3 decades." The portal opened to reveal a breathtaking world of floating crystalline formations. The sky shimmered between purple and orange while crystalline beings approached them gracefully. "Stanford Pines," spoke Zephyr, their leader. "You return in our darkest hour. Bill's influence spreads even here. Our younger brothers lose their forms under his corruption. We need the Council's wisdom," Ford replied with determination. In the Grand Chamber, ancient beings whose crystalline bodies contained galaxies listened as Ford told his tale. The Council leader spoke with a voice like the echo of time itself. "Tell your companions how you survived here and what truths you learned." Ford took a deep breath. "When I first arrived, broken and desperate, I had nothing but the clothes on my back. I learned to eat crystalline moss that tasted like liquid starlight and drink pure light from springs flowing from spacetime's heart. I slept in caves of singing crystal, always alert because predators here hunt through dreams." His voice grew stronger. "But most importantly, I learned every dimension has a heart, a core of pure existence that even Bill cannot destroy. These hearts are eternal and indestructible." The fragment in Dipper's hand began glowing with brilliant blue light, responding to Ford's words. Zephyr looked amazed. The child carries Cypher's original essence, the pure being he was before madness consumed him. Ford leaped up, realization dawning. Euclidean wasn't giving us a weapon. He gave us the key to Bill's own heart. We can restore him to who he was before corruption. "What do you mean?" Stan asked, staring at the glowing crystal. "Every being has an original core of pure existence," Ford explained excitedly. "If we can reach that core using this fragment, we can restore him to who he was before he became a chaos demon." The council leader nodded slowly. "But this requires returning to corruption's source, where chaos first entered your reality." "Gravity Falls," Ford said with determination, "where I opened the portal and let Bill into our world." The crystalline beings offered protective amulets and supplies. Zephyr warned them, "The path back will be treacherous. Bill's influence grows stronger near your dimension. Space and time may unravel around you." "We understand the risks," Ford replied firmly, "but we cannot abandon him to eternal darkness." Dipper raised the fragment high. "This hope is all we have, but maybe hope is all we need." Stan placed a hand on his nephew's shoulder. "We're the Pines family. We've beaten impossible odds before." Ford turned to the council one final time. "Thank you for teaching me to survive and never lose hope." The council leader blessed them. "You came broken, you leave whole. May all hearts guide your path." They stepped through the portal back into the void. Ford looked back at his sanctuary. 30 years ago, I ran from my mistakes. Today, I'm going back to face them." When they emerged above Earth, the sight was heartbreaking. The planet was twisted beyond recognition, its continents forming Bill's sneering face pulsing with red energy. "Look what he's done," Dipper whispered. "We'll fix this," Stan declared. "For everyone we love." Ford pointed to the distorted planet. There, the portal to Gravity Falls. Bill preserved it as a trophy of his victory. "Then that's where we're going," Dipper said, gripping the fragment. "Back to where it all began." Their ship turned toward the twisted Earth while the Memory Stone fragment glowed like hope against cosmic darkness. Ford reflected on his journey. 30 years taught him hope exists everywhere. Sometimes hope is the most powerful force in the universe. Ahead lay Gravity Falls, where everything started and where everything would end. The small Oregon town held the key to saving not just their world, but Bill Cipher's very soul. With the fragment of his original essence in hand, they prepared for the final confrontation that would determine the fate of all realities. The interdimensional void swirled around them as they approached their destiny, carrying the last spark of hope for a universe consumed by chaos. Gravity Falls Season 3, Episode 9, Heart of Chaos. In the destroyed remains of Gravity Falls, Dipper, Stanford, and Stanley stand before the massive Bill Cipher, who holds Journal Number 4 and radiates incredible power. The sky is torn, reality itself is warped. "How touching," Bill Cipher sneers. "The Pines family decided to play heroes, but you're a few dimensions too late." Dipper pulls out a glowing crystal fragment, a piece of the Memory Stone. "Bill, we know the truth. We know who you were before the madness." "Ha! That pathetic fragment." Bill laughs. "I already destroyed the original." "But not what's inside you, Bill," Stanford says firmly. "Your heart is still there." The fragment begins to glow brighter. Bill suddenly winces, his form flickering. What are you doing?" "We're reminding you who you were," Dipper declares. "Cipher, a young triangle who just wanted to understand the world." Energy waves emanate from the fragment. Holograms appear, memories of young Bill with his family, his father Euclidean. "Hey, Triangle," Stanley shouts. "Your old man still loves you." Bill screams, his form becoming unstable. "No, I won't return to weakness. I am chaos. I am destruction." Stanford looks at his family with grim determination. "Dipper, Stan, there's a way to stop him, but we won't come back. Bill's heart can be used as a prison," he explains, "but whoever activates it will be trapped with him." "Then we all go," Stanley says without hesitation. "Family doesn't abandon family." Dipper raises the fragment high above his head. "Heart of Bill Cipher, I summon you. Become a prison for chaos." A crystalline cage forms around Bill. The cage begins pulling all four into a portal to the prison dimension. "Hey guys," Stanley says with a sad smile. "It was great saving the world with you." "Mabel, I'm sorry," Dipper whispers. "Take care of yourself." A blinding flash. All four disappear. Silence falls over the destroyed town. The sky clears, reality stabilizes. People begin to regain consciousness. Mabel wakes up among the debris. "Dipper? Dipper, where are you?" She runs through the destroyed town, calling for her brother. She finds his blue pine tree hat lying among the rubble. "Dipper, where are you?" Zeus wakes up and approaches. "Mabel, dude, what happened? Where's Dipper?" "I don't know," Mabel cries. "I only found his hat." "Where's Grunkle Stan? Where's Grunkle Ford?" Continuing her search, she finds Stanley's red fez, partially burned. Grunkle Stan's fez, but why is it here? Wendy and Pacifica join the search. Pacifica points to something shiny. "Mabel, look, are those glasses?" Mabel picks up Stanford's broken glasses. These are Grunkle Ford's glasses." Holding 3 items in her hands, Dipper's hat, Stanley's fez, and Stanford's glasses, tears roll down her cheeks. They were all here, all 3 of them. Together, she realizes, Dipper wasn't alone. Grunkle Stan and Grunkle Ford were with him. They fought Bill together. Looking at the spot where Bill's pyramid used to be, now only scorched earth and crystalline shards, she whispers, "They defeated him, but something happened, something that took them all." Putting on Dipper's hat, she declares through tears, They sacrificed themselves, all three of them, to stop Bill, to save us. But they're not dead. I can feel it. They're out there somewhere, and we'll find them. Standing before the gathered residents of Gravity Falls, Mabel speaks with newfound determination. People of Gravity Falls, today we lost heroes. Dipper Pines, Stanford Pines, and Stanley Pines sacrificed themselves to save our world from Bill Cipher. But they're not dead. They're trapped in a prison dimension with Bill, and we will get them out. But how? A townsperson asks. We're just ordinary people. Ordinary people? Mabel responds with growing confidence. We're residents of Gravity Falls. We've seen gnomes, unicorns, time travel. We survived Weirdmageddon. We're not ordinary. We have Ford's journals. We have knowledge. We have each other. And we have something Bill never had, a real family. We'll need everyone. Scientists, engineers, artists, musicians, everyone. We'll build an interdimensional travel machine. We'll find Bill's prison. And we'll bring our heroes home. The crowd erupts in applause and shouts of support. What if we can't do it? Wendy asks. Mabel adjusts Dipper's hat and looks at the destroyed but unbroken town. Then we'll try again and again, because Pines never give up. Never. As the sun sets over Gravity Falls, Mabel stands surrounded by friends and allies, looking up at the starry sky. Dipper always said mysteries need to be solved. That truth matters most. Well, bro, here's a mystery for you. How to get home from an impossible place. And I promise, we'll find the answer. Hold on, guys. We're coming for you. End of Episode 9, Heart of Chaos. Gravity Falls Season 3, Episode 10, Operation Rescue. 3 days have passed since the heroes disappeared. Mabel stands before a map of Gravity Falls in the restored part of the Mystery Shack. On the table lie journal number 3, Dipper's hat, Stanley's fez, and Stanford's glasses. Mabel says determinedly, 3 days, 3 days since my brother and great-uncles were trapped in a prison dimension with Bill Cipher. But Pines never give up. Never. Seuss, Wendy, Pacifica, and other townspeople gather around Mabel. Everyone looks tired but determined. Seuss asks, Mabel, we're ready. What does Ford's journal say? Mabel flips through the journal. Great-Uncle Ford wrote about reality bridges, a way to create a portal between dimensions using emotional connections. Mabel points to a diagram in the journal, a complex chart with symbols and formulas. We need 3 things: a power source, an emotional anchor, and a sacrifice. Pacifica asks worriedly, a sacrifice? What do you mean? Mabel looks sadly at the family items. Someone has to enter the prison dimension to bring them out. It's a one-way trip. If something goes wrong. Wendy stands up decisively. Then I'll go. Dipper. He means a lot to me. Mabel shakes her head. No, Wendy. It has to be me. I'm his sister. Our bond is the strongest. The team works in the forest near a strange stone circle, an ancient place of power. Seuss and Wendy set up crystals found in the shack's basement. Seuss observes, these crystals, they glow when I think about Mr. Pines. Mabel studies the journal. Great-Uncle Ford wrote that emotional memories can pierce barriers between worlds. Pacifica approaches Mabel with concern. Mabel, what if Bill tries to capture you? What if it's a trap? Mabel puts on Dipper's hat. Then I'll fight, like Dipper would fight. The ritual begins. Mabel stands in the center of the stone circle, holding Stanley's fez and Stanford's glasses. The crystals begin to glow brightly. Mabel closes her eyes. Dipper, remember when we first came to Gravity Falls? You were afraid we were too different. The air begins to distort. A shimmering portal appears. Mabel continues, Grunkle Stan, you taught us that family matters most, that we should protect each other. The portal expands. Through it, dark corridors of the prison dimension are visible. Great-Uncle Ford, you showed us that knowledge is power, but love is stronger than any knowledge. Mabel steps toward the portal. Wendy grabs her hand. Wendy says, Mabel, wait, take this. She gives her a walkie-talkie. We'll keep the portal open. You have 10 minutes. Mabel responds determinedly. That's enough. Mabel enters the portal. The world around her distorts, and she finds herself in a grim corridor of black stone. She speaks into the walkie-talkie. I'm inside, beginning the search. Mabel walks down the corridor and hears familiar voices. She runs toward the sound and sees Dipper, Stanford, and Stanley in crystalline cages. Dipper says weakly, Mabel? Is that really you? Mabel responds with tears of joy. Dipper, Grunkles, I came for you. Suddenly Bill Cipher appears, but he looks weaker and more human. Bill says tiredly, Ah, little Mabel, come to save your little family? How touching. Mabel stands unafraid. Bill, you lost. Your heart remembers who you used to be. Bill looks at the Pines family with a strange expression. You know what, kid? I'm tired. Tired of chaos, of loneliness. Maybe it's time to change something. Bill snaps his fingers, and the crystalline cages disappear. The heroes are free but very weak. Stanford asks, surprised, Bill, why? Bill smiles sadly. Because I remember what it's like to have a family. Mabel helps Dipper stand, hugs her great-uncles. She speaks into the walkie-talkie. Wendy, open the portal home. We did it. The Pines family walks toward the opening portal. Bill stays behind, but his expression has become more peaceful. Bill says quietly, Thank you, Mabel, for reminding me who I really am. The heroes emerge from the portal in Gravity Falls. They're greeted by joyful shouts from the townspeople. Seuss exclaims, Mr. Pines, you're back. Wendy hugs Dipper. I was so worried. Mabel takes off Dipper's hat and returns it to her brother. Here, it looks better on you. Dipper hugs his sister. Mabel, you were incredible, a real leader. The portal begins to flicker unstably. Mabel quickly pulls out the memory stone fragment. Mabel says determinedly, We need to close the portal before Bill changes his mind. Stanford warns, Mabel, be careful. This could be dangerous. Mabel activates the fragment. The portal begins to shrink, emitting a loud hum. Bill's voice fades from the portal. Goodbye, Pines, but this isn't the end. I'll find a way. The portal closes completely. Everyone sighs with relief. Stanley says, Well, that's it. Finally, we can rest. Suddenly, a new portal appears in the air, but this one looks different, with blue glow and strange symbols. Dipper asks, What now? Figures in dark cloaks with time symbols emerge from the portal time guards. Behind them follows a familiar but changed figure. Stanford says, shocked, This can't be. The hood falls, revealing the face of adult Mabel. She's about 22 years old, looking wiser and more serious. A strange bracelet glows on her arm. Adult Mabel smiles sadly. Hello, family. Hello, me. Young Mabel gasps in shock. That's me? From the future. One of the time guards removes their hood. It's a tall being with eyes full of stars. The time guard announces, Mabel Pines from the year 2022. We come with a warning. Adult Mabel says seriously, What happened here? Earth's destruction. Bill's chaos. This is only the beginning. The camera shows the shocked faces of the Pines family. Adult Mabel continues, When you freed Bill from the prison dimension, he didn't stay here. He went to other worlds, other realities. He's gathering an army of allies, and he'll be back soon. We need your help. Dipper asks, stunned, Other worlds? An army? Adult Mabel nods. The multiverse is in danger, and only we can stop it. Dipper's voiceover speaks dramatically. We thought our adventures were over, but it turned out they were just beginning. Ahead of us lay a battle not for one world, but for all worlds at once. To be continued.